Welcome to Lost in the Dark podcast. We are back. Back in the crypt.
Yeah.
Back in the crypt on this Wednesday night. This Wednesday night, motherfuckers. Here, let's cheers. We got some Vernors and rum like Michigan motherfuckers.
To the king of monsters.
Oh, to the king of monsters. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Like, I saw... You know, I clicked on it, and it was like 404 error not found, so I almost wonder if it was bullshit. But I saw like a Detroit Free Press headline of their review of it, and they were like saying, it's stupid, and anybody that likes it is stupid. I was like, go fuck yourself, my friend. So yeah, I just saw Godzilla King of Monsters for the third time.
Oh, that was the third time?
That was the third time I've seen it, and it was your first. So what did you think?
Oh, man. Because I before I started watching it, I remember saying, you know, I hadn't watched the first one since it came out. Like, I think we saw it in theaters, and then I saw Skull Island, which I was saying I liked a little more. And then this one kind of like, I don't even know what to say about it really. Like, I wasn't expecting quite that scale. Like,
yeah. I certainly wasn't.
Yeah.
On some level, I was like, it has to be. Like, going into it, I was like, it has to be this big, but because of like what King Ghidorah is and everything. But fucking, I didn't expect them to execute it so well.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it was I don't know, just like the scale of everything, and how do you fit like 3 or 4 of the biggest like monsters on screen at the same time and have it all make sense.
Oh my God.
Something that just,
yeah, it's almost, you know, it's it's never been done on this level, and it's almost, you know, an Avengers like task.
Yeah.
How do you balance everything, you know? And
because before, I mean, I watched the trailer and stuff when it came out, and I think I watched, I don't know, weren't there 2 of them? A couple of them?
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah. So I watched those, and then, like, admittedly, like, I kind of forgot about it a little bit because of all, like, the Avengers hype and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, and then like, you started talking about it, and then kind of, like, everything that you were saying and stuff, and all the reviews I've been seeing and everything, and I was like, I feel like it might be kind of cool to check out and stuff. And
you gotta see it in theaters.
Yeah, it is. It's a whole other...
Gotta see it on the biggest screen possible while you have the chance. Like,
I mean, it rivals Avengers for like the scale, like the epicness of it, I think. Set aside I mean, maybe not as much, but it's definitely up there with I'd say like Endgame, or like I was as excited to see it as I was for like Civil War, or like, you know.
Oh yeah. In terms of level of excitement for this movie, mine was definitely exactly on par with the final Avengers movie, if not even more so for this one, because I've been they first announced the Godzilla 2014 movie in like 2009 online. Like, it's murmurs. It was like, I remember a little fucking headline, Legendary acquires rights to Toho monsters, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And that was like the first little glimpse, the first little murmur that something was going to happen, and I've been following it ever since. Now, granted, this is only the 3rd movie versus Marvel's 22, but
yeah,
I've been in the game with it almost as long, you know, at this point. I mean, yeah, like the scale and the way it was there's so much that they did. There were so many like brilliant callbacks that they just put like modern twists on and stuff, like the burning Godzilla, and how that he it's just like something he can do and not like his death, and how Ghidorah hit Mothra, which revived Godzilla, versus the other way around, which is how it was in the original movies. And even, I don't know if you caught this or not, because I don't know how many of the original Godzillas you saw, but in the original Godzilla vs. Mothra is the bad guy, but then we find out at the end that Mothra is actually only doing this to save. There's these twin, like fairies that have a psychic link with Mothra, and they're like a symbiote connection. And so Mothra was just trying to save them the whole time.
I didn't know that offhand, but I kind of figured based on kind of how they presented it all.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it made sense to me. That,
Well,
like,
in this movie there's a set of twins, and they are the great granddaughters of those fairies.
Yeah.
So when I first saw them, I was like, no fucking way, are you? Oh my god! It's essentially like, it's linking everything back to the Toho storylines, which is beautiful. And the oxygen bomb, the fucking the orca, and how like the boat in Godzilla 2014 was called Orca, and something else having to do with Godzilla's history was called Orca. I think it was all the way back in the 54 movie. I can't remember what it is, but
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I like that whole system and like the way that they
could communicate with the monsters.
Yeah. Because that was something that I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't really remember a whole lot about the first Godzilla movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like first I say, but like the one that came out
2014.
3 years ago. Yeah. Just how they would be able to like communicate with everything and be able to make that connection and stuff. It was kind of like, and I don't know if they did or not. I don't know if that was a thing that was in the first movie.
What?
The orca.
No.
Yeah.
No, it was because they were there in San Francisco when Godzilla was fighting the Muto.
That's right. Yeah.
And then after that all went down, she invented the orca.
Yeah. So I thought that was a cool touch and stuff, and like all the like, I mean, who would have thought that like the best way to do it is to like send out like a frequency to it and have it like understand what's going on and stuff, and try to get it, like it's pretty genius.
It's fucking that was really good.
Yeah. And it like, because like, I don't know, I see things like that and I kind of think that maybe it was like the first part of the movie, because that was kind of one of the first things that, like the first big things that happens that kind of starts the whole shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that maybe it was going to be like kind of a one-off thing, but it ends up being
a major plot point.
Yeah. Which I thought was cool.
I mean, the scale of it, the beauty of it, the shots, like it made me love Mothra more than ever before, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember Mothra ever having a stinger. Like, I'm pretty sure that's new. She stabbed Rodan with it. Rodan can take a hit, apparently. Rodan can get beat by Ghidorah and fucking Mothra and still be standing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They did a good job with him, though.
I know I mentioned this to you, but excuse me. I forgot that Millie Bobby Brown was in it.
Yeah.
11.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we were talking about afterwards and stuff, and I don't know. I think that like, not only was like her whole performance and stuff just amazing. Like, I don't know. Like I was a fan of her as 11, because I think that's such like a unique role. I think that's something different that we haven't seen, but also like just the whole like how all the characters were all sort of like connected, kind of, and how they made like the different, like the, I don't know, just like the relationships between everybody.
Yeah.
I feel like it made, I don't know, it wasn't like reaching at all.
Yeah.
Which I feel like for a movie like this, it's kind of like it's kind of like secondary.
I mean, it's the number one complaint with every Godzilla movie is that they always say they spend too much time on the humans, but I firmly believe if
I feel like that was a big complaint with the first movie.
Well, the big complaint with the first movie was that Godzilla was only actually in it for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But
I remember having a problem with that even.
I did not have a problem with that, because those were the 10 best on-screen Godzilla minutes I've ever seen. So
up
like,
to that point, yeah.
I was so happy with what I got, even though I wanted more. Like, I was happy with. I still loved it. So yeah, the first one definitely did that mistake, but that's. That if you know that director and his other work, that's kind of something that he does. He likes to build these like really human stories and characters and stuff like that. But like everyone always says, they fall short in these big monster movies. Yeah, I when Bryan Cranston died in the first one, that's kind of where that storyline, like, I stopped being as interested. I just wanted the monsters.
Yeah.
But this one, I felt it all made a lot more sense. And yeah, and I genuinely feel that if the humans only had 10 minutes of screen time, people would still say too fucking much time on the humans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's never going to be pleasing everybody. And yeah, you know what? The writing was a little splotchy. Like, there were definitely some parts that I felt written poorly. Like when Serizawa went to die, I thought that was like the dumbest shit ever. But there were some parts that were poorly written, but they weren't poorly acted, or directed. Like, all the other parts I felt where I enjoyed them. I thought they were firing. So yeah, there's going to be some moments of cheese, but guess what? You're watching giant fucking monsters fight. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And yeah, Godzilla was in it in the first 60 seconds. He's, they kept it, the way, having seen it 3 times now, the way they, cause what do the scenes do? They start and then they build and then they go to the next one. The way that, like, there are so many times in this movie where, like, you almost think for a second you're about to watch 10 minutes of human plot, but then all of a sudden the room starts shaking.
It gets, yeah.
And then there's a monster on screen
Yeah,
2
I like
seconds
that.
later. Yeah, like, there were constantly monsters on screen in this one. So,
Yeah.
and they were so beautiful.
Well, yeah, and that was a cool thing to me too, was just seeing how they were gonna introduce them all and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I didn't feel like I didn't know who any of them were at the point, because like, I was pretty familiar with most of them and stuff. Like, I may not have known like names and stuff, but I knew that, like I don't know, they just,
Rodan,
yeah,
Ghidorah, Mothra, and Godzilla. Now,
yeah. I thought the what was it, like the fire one, the one that was in the volcano.
Rodan,
Yeah, that was cool as shit.
the fire
Thought that
demon.
was- yeah.
Yeah.
Just how he comes out of the volcano and stuff. And
Yeah.
like, yeah.
No, this is definitely far and away the most beautiful and badass interpretation of every creature design I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Now the part that, so everyone's has known from the commercials that they're all in it. What no one knew was that about the 17 others.
Yeah.
Now they did show that in one of the commercials, but no one, that was the only line that was dropped. No one knew what that meant or anything. So actually seeing other Titans on screen at the end there. Now, here's the thing. The monsters everyone knows are from Toho. That's the original company that created Godzilla and all the rest of them. I don't think Legendary has the rights to any more of their monsters at the moment. Or maybe they do. I don't know.
That was what I was wondering.
I think that's why those 4, the main 4, were the only ones from. However, all of the other Titans' names were seen in the movie, and you can see, if you pay really, really close attention to the screens in the background in a lot of scenes, you can see them doing shit. Now, in Toho, there was a spider. Called Kamorga or something like that. But in this movie, the giant spider was called Skyla or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and we only actually saw. One, two. There was 4, the main 4, and then 1, 2, 3 more. I think we only actually saw 7 on screen. So there's 10. That we saw their names, but we haven't seen them yet. So we don't even know what they are. They could be, just a different name, but like the same monsters as some of the other ones we know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the fucking, I was not expecting. I was hoping to actually get at least a glimpse of Kong on screen. We did, but it was all footage from Skull Island.
Yeah.
Now,
which I thought was a cool tie-in.
Oh,
I thought that was,
so awesome when they showed all the footage from the first 2 movies and everything.
Yeah.
Now, fucking one thing that I caught in this movie that I am 100% sure I might be the only person in the world that caught this. Because I'm so obsessed with this shit. To this day, have you ever seen the Godzilla trailer for the first one, 2014 one, where it was the very, very, very first teaser trailer ever released for it? I think it came out in 2012, which was 2 years before that movie came out at a Comic-Con. And it was Oppenheimer saying the Bhagavad Gita. Did you ever see that trailer?
I think so, yeah.
I've become
Seems
death, destroyer of worlds.
Yeah.
And then, fucking shows Godzilla in the cloud.
Yeah. I do remember that.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, people, go back and watch that trailer and then watch this fucking movie again. Because I don't think that one single shot from that trailer, the original teaser trailer, was ever in the actual movie. But it was in this one. There were shots from that original fucking teaser fucking trailer that they had on some of the LCD. Like, the first one I noticed was when we fully find out that the mom is actually the bad guy, and she's on the LCD screen. One of the things that pops up is a fucking shot from that trailer. And then I started paying closer attention, and I saw more shots from it on the background screens and stuff when they were talking about stuff. So, like,
damn.
That's like doing what Rogue One did by, like, making the older movies better. Like, they made that trailer. They used the footage from that trailer, like, making it fucking still, like, they referenced it. You know what I mean? They pulled from it. They did that on purpose. Like, they made it part of not like, yeah, this was the first ever teaser trailer for Godzilla, but no one knew at the time that was actually the first teaser trailer for the 3 Godzilla movies. Like, they made it a trailer for this one almost, in a sense. Like, in a sense, like, I just thought, like, because I love that trailer so much. I'd still go back and watch it because it gives me goosebumps. And the fact that I saw some screenshots of that in this movie made me so fucking happy. Like, yeah,
that's a deep,
the deepest cut. That's why I think I'm the only one on earth that noticed it. But shout out to Mike Daughtry. If he's the one that made that decision, I think he's the director.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. Oh, I want to meet that. I want to sit down and have a conversation about Godzilla with that guy. Holy shit. Like, that is the deepest cut, and I'm so happy I caught it.
Yeah, because a lot of times you don't see that. Like,
it's referencing a trailer.
Yeah.
A trailer that just had a bunch of stock footage that never ended up being used.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're going to use that.
And to use it like that is, I don't think I'm sure it's been done before, but I can't really think of any.
I don't think that's ever been done. I don't think a franchise 3 movies in ever goes back and references the first ever teaser trailer with the stock footage they never used.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's never been done. I would put a bet on that. God damn it. Like, yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of off topic a little bit, but I am a little more excited to see to watch the next Stranger Things because of that.
After seeing Millie Bobby Brown,
yeah. I just, like, I don't know. I can't get over how, like, just, I don't know, like that whole performance and everything. You know, was just, I don't know. It was just cool to me. I thought she definitely, in terms of the acting performances in that movie, she stood out to me by far. Yeah.
I thought she was, every time she was on screen, she was, like, almost stealing the scene.
Yeah.
You know, she was rarely on screen with any monsters, so she didn't have them to compete with. But
the last couple, though.
Yeah, the last couple, yeah. And when you see her seeing the monsters, you felt it.
Yeah.
And
maybe that was, yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, like, there were a few of those in there that kind of, like, hit me and stuff, but, like, it was, and I remember saying this when we were walking out or whatever, but, like, I don't know, like, I'm tired of movies making me cry because Avengers did it. This one got me a little bit towards the end and stuff, and like, but it's a good thing because it makes, like for one, it all made sense to me, and like there was a reason that I like felt that way and stuff.
If it makes you feel, it's a good thing.
Yeah,
like fuck anybody. Like,
and like I didn't expect that from a big monster movie,
Godzilla
like
movie.
this. Yeah, no less. Yeah, there was a real like human element to it.
I just fucking, I felt electricity in my body the whole time. I just had fucking goosebumps the whole fucking movie. Like, especially when they started during the Halo jump scene of the first movie.
Yeah.
But from on the ground. Like, oh,
it also made me want to
God.
go back and rewatch the 2014
Oh,
one.
you definitely should.
Because I don't remember a whole lot about it. I do remember really liking it, though.
Like, the way, I just loved every part of the way this movie incorporated the first two movies and then took what they had to offer and then expanded on it so much.
Yeah.
So much. Like, I really liked that. And I really liked how not only was there a post-credit scene, but they made the first part of the end credits sort of a post-credit scene in themselves by showing us like newspaper headlines and headlines of articles after the fact.
Yeah.
So
that was cool.
It was giving us, there was a lot of valuable information in there. Like how fucking Mothra sacrificed herself for Godzilla, but they found another Mothra egg. So Mothra will be back. You know what I mean? Like,
I missed that.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen it a couple times,
Yeah.
so probably picked up way more than I did.
Well, I know the first time I saw it, I remember noticing the egg, but I was like, ooh, I wonder who that's going to be. And then I saw an article online later that said it was another Mothra egg. I was like, oh, all right, fuck yeah. I do want more of that Mothra. That Mothra was the only character I felt that didn't get enough screen time.
Yeah.
I ultimately wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see Mothra interact with the twins. Really bad.
Yeah.
We never got that. So, hey, but the post-credit scene where Tywin Lannister, everyone knows he's from that actor is from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
He fucking
which guy was that?
The old guy, the old British guy that you think is the bad guy at first, and then you find out it's the
yeah.
Him going back to find King Ghidorah's head. In the original Toho, at one point there was like a mecha King Ghidorah, like a half robot King
I think
Ghidorah.
I've seen that,
So
yeah.
maybe something like that goes down. I don't know. But also King Ghidorah has the ability, apparently in this movie, to regenerate, which is something that we've never seen before, which was badass.
Oh, that kind of like hit me hard,
dude.
Like seeing all that and like just the whole like all the detail in it and stuff.
Yeah, the way it came out and his head came out of the neck, like
you just see it grow into what it is and everything.
Yeah.
Like that was cool.
It almost looked like a graboid for a second,
Yeah.
like from Tremors, like. Oh man, it was so cool.
Well, I didn't know that was a thing and stuff. Then all of a sudden, it like
no one did. That's the first time he's ever been able to regenerate.
Yeah, and like the one head like pulls off like the top little, like embryo thing and stuff. And...
Yeah. That's something that I thought that they did really well was actually give each monster a personality.
Yeah.
Like they actually made them a character.
Yeah.
As opposed to just a mindless like monster. And something else that they did, another deep cut. That I'm not at this point. I'm pretty much 100% sure that they actually if you pay close enough attention to different times where Godzilla roars, they actually use roars from past movies.
Oh, really?
That it wasn't the same the whole time.
I thought that.
Did you?
Yeah, when I was watching it, I was like that. I feel
that one sounded a little different.
I'm listening for the main one that I'm used to.
But god damn it, you have 60 fucking years of different Godzilla roars to pull from.
That's cool.
And then you can do that. And what does that effectively do? Gives Godzilla a little more personality. Now he has a voice as opposed to a sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Huh.
Like fucking.
I was gonna bring that up too because I didn't know if that was just something that like, I don't know, that was just kind of like a one-off kind of thing, or if that was like supposed to be.
I haven't seen any articles about it, but I'm like after seeing it a third fucking time, I know for a fact they use different roars at different points, and a few of them, Like one of them I felt like I straight up recognized from like Godzilla vs. King Kong or the first one in 1954, the black and white one or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm
That's cool.
100% sure that
Yeah.
they used different ones from past movies. And I thought that was an awesome fucking idea. Awesome idea. That is good writing right there.
Yeah.
That's an example of some of the good writing in this movie that occurred. But yeah, fuck, man. Look, I can't wait till it comes out on Blu-ray. I want to watch every special feature.
It's I mean, they're like my only thing about it was towards the end of it kind of dragged on a little bit.
It was like almost a 2.5 hour long movie. It was a long fucking movie.
Like there were points of it where like, you know, you think that Godzilla is dead, and then he's not, and then he is again, and he's not again, and stuff. But like, I mean, it all kind of made sense, and like how they like brought him back and stuff, and it kind of like, I feel like it had to happen in order for them to get to the ending of it and stuff. Kind of like knowing how it all.
You're right. It all actually made fucking sense as it went forward. Yeah.
But that was my only thing. Is like, really, like they're gonna
fight. But the whole thing about like.
And it was even bigger when it happened again,
right?
And for the last time and stuff, like
the going underwater to where he like lives, and that ancient city. I thought that was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
that was fucking awesome. Yeah, I honestly feel like there were a couple things that I caught in this viewing that made me wonder if there are a handful of deleted scenes.
Probably.
Because there was a couple interactions between hold on one second, I got their names right here. Between Kyle Chandler's character, Mark Russell, the main guy, and Thomas Middleditch, that guy.
Yeah.
There was a couple interactions between those two characters that I don't feel like made as much sense. It would have made more sense if there was some deleted scene where there was some other interaction between them. And then also when one of the two twins, Dr. Chen, actually finds the cave painting of Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, that didn't make sense because she had already said that she has gone through everything. We didn't find it. And I thought that scene would have happened after they went underwater, but as it turns out, it happened before they found Godzilla's home. So there's never an explanation of how she put that together, where she found that, where that cave painting is located at, and I'd like to know that.
Yeah, like how did they find all that different, like kind of like the archived footage and stuff, or like, is that kind of what you're talking about?
Just the one image of Godzilla and King Ghidorah on the wall. But oh shit. Actually, I'm full of shit because they showed that image at the post-credit scene of Skull Island. So you know what? That's what doesn't make sense because Monarch has had that on file since the 50s then. So they should have known about that. So them not knowing about it is actually what doesn't make sense, not them finding it. Huh. Because that should have been in Monarch's database. They should have, but they didn't know its name. And the image that was shown in this movie, I actually think is different than the one that was shown at the end, because the one that was shown at the end of Skull Island didn't have the text next to it. So it could be a different image, but still, they knew about the three-headed monster. I loved how they called it Monster Zero, too. That was another callback. But, yeah, man. There was... Oh, yeah, I think I talked about it all already. But, yeah, man, I loved it so much. I really did.
Just the fact that Avengers came out like a month ago, 2 months ago, maybe?
1 month, 1 month,
and then all of a sudden we're hit with this, and like I feel like nobody's really talking about this one.
Not enough people.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's a fucking
what a time in movies.
What a time to be alive.
Right,
oh my
yeah.
God. This is like heaven for me. But you know, one of the amazing things that Marvel has been able to do is that shit is no longer just for comic book people. It's for everybody now. And they've cultivated that kind of culture over the last 10 years.
That's true.
Godzilla has not done that. So this is still just for...
It's kind of like a cult following kind of movie,
yeah, this is just for fans of this sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's why one of the articles I read, at least after the first weekend, that I think that's why it did better overseas. Because more people overseas are probably fucking more of them grew up with the original Godzilla movies and can catch all the references and fucking...
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like, this movie... I mean, in terms of references and Easter eggs and all that kind of stuff, this movie is on par with an Avengers movie. Like, with how many there are and the deep, deep, deep cuts and... You know, all the things you didn't know you wanted, but you know you fucking are so happy that you got it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that fucking takes, you know, when it feels like everyone that was making this movie, it was a passion project. Like everyone loves Godzilla. And we just want to make this awesome Godzilla movie.
Yeah, it's already a household name kind of deal.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely, Godzilla's a household name. Yeah. But, you know, it's always been bigger overseas for sure than it has been here.
Wasn't that's where it originated at?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Japan, yeah.
I wonder, I don't know, I'd be kind of interested to see, like, because I feel like seeing it there would be kind of like how seeing Avengers would be here, like the last movie. Like,
Actually,
I wonder if the hype is about the same.
Yeah, probably. Actually, you're right. That would be kind of dope. Actually.
And that would be...
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that would be something that I feel like you'd have to experience a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be kind of an event, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Might have that chance with the next one.
And that's the fucking... Well, that's one of the... That's something that Godzilla actually has in relation to a lot of things like comic books, is like in a lot of ways over the years, the X-Men have been allegories for certain things like gay rights in most recent times in some of the more recent movies and stuff like that, or LGBT community rights. LGBTQ, I don't know, but that, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that's something I've always loved about the X-Men. That's something I've also always loved about Godzilla, is that he was originally an allegory for the Hiroshima attacks that the United States did to Japan during World War II, dropping the atom bomb. He was an allegory for the atom bomb, essentially. And in this movie, they continue that, but he's still an allegory, but it's no longer for the atom bomb. You know what I mean? It's more for like from the environmental standpoint and things like that. And so they even hold true to that way of storytelling about him. Like, yeah, there's just, oh man, it felt like a movie made by fans for the fans, and I loved that.
Yeah,
I loved every second of it. I also feel like it was, you know, they didn't hold back. They gave us everything. They gave us.
They definitely listened to the complaints and the comments on the first movie.
Well, not even that, but like the fact that they actually used the oxygen bomb and we had burning Godzilla all in one movie. Like that was two different movies, you know, in the original. So, you know, they didn't hold back. They blew their load. They didn't save anything. They set up a potential future, but they didn't save anything. You know what I mean? They showed us everything we could have wanted from this, and I love it when they do that.
Well, now, like, where do you go from here? I remember thinking that, like, when it was all done, I was like, this is the greatest monster movie I've ever seen personally.
Oh, me too.
Like, how do you top that?
Well,
other than, you know, putting the two together, like the two biggest
monsters on planet Earth, Godzilla and Kong. And growing up, that was my favorite one.
Yeah.
So like the fact that they're actually redoing, and if you go back and watch it, it's so bad.
That's
it's
kind of
so bad.
That's kind of why, like, not to
by today's standards.
Yeah, not to like
these
pull
do not hold up.
Yeah, not to pull anything away from it, because I'm sure
But
they're
I
great
love them.
movies, but like, yeah,
I love them.
They're hard to kind of watch.
It's hard now for us to suspend that kind of disbelief.
Yeah.
But I still love them to death.
I mean, I guess you could, because I don't know, I remember bringing something up about like the because when the like, I guess the first taste of like the whole Godzilla thing was with the 2001 version.
1999.
Yeah, sorry, I always get I always get those fucked up.
Well, that was the first ever. That was the first time an American movie studio ever made one.
Yeah, and then that was along the same lines as like the Jurassic Park movies.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And like I don't know, I always like those. I like the the kind of like feel behind it and stuff. But these make those look like child movies.
Now see,
like in terms of like the big like cinematic things.
Oh my god!
What we're able to accomplish now is amazing. Like,
yeah, dude.
To be able to show the scale of all of these different like creatures and monsters and stuff, the way that they are, the way that they were intended to be,
right,
is
right.
Just like
the way they were intended to be. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Like the way you always think of, like Godzilla.
The way when you were a kid playing with them as action figures, the way you always thought of it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what is played out in the movie.
Yeah.
And that's, oh my God, it's so amazing. Like that's exactly everything. Yeah, everything I'd want. And yeah, I think the only way to possibly top it is to put the two actual biggest monsters of all time on screen together, which is Kong and Godzilla. And now everybody's going, how the fuck is Kong ever going to beat Godzilla? Because he's so jacked in this movie. But
well, I think when we were talking about it and you brought up the fact that it was, it had been a few years since.
Skull Island takes place in the 50s.
Yeah.
So he's had a long time to grow.
Yeah.
But also during the end credits, with how much they're talking about Skull Island in those headlines and the creatures discovered under Skull Island and this and that, there was one thing I read where the director was asked that question, and he said, which also makes me think, because what I've been wondering is, where's this battle going to take place? And what he said makes me think it might take place on Skull Island, because what he said is, you got. Now, see, here's the thing, is this movie clearly made a point of showing Godzilla's intelligence. And what he said is, you got to remember, Kong is really, really smart. So is Kong smarter than Godzilla? And now he's a lot bigger, and he's going to have, if he's on his home turf, if they're on Skull Island, then he's got all of that advantage too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. But I'm so excited to see how they do it.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
The only thing that makes me a little nervous is that in the poster, the first official image for it says one will fall. I'm like, I kind of was hoping it would end and neither of them are actually dead.
Well, yeah, I mean...
And here's the other part that I now just thought of that I think is a little odd. This movie, the whole major plot point is all the Titans respond to an alpha. So who's it going to be, Godzilla or King Ghidorah? And at the end of the movie, we see Godzilla and a bunch of other Titans, and they're all bowing to him because he's the king. He's the top alpha.
That was sick as fuck.
So shouldn't Kong be, like, shouldn't Godzilla be Kong's king as well? By that logic? So far that we know of, at least in the current...
That's
movies.
a good point. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's one of the Titans.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he operates differently, but...
Huh.
Or maybe he's different. Yeah, maybe he's different somehow. Maybe he's not like...
Well, because he's not really, like... I don't necessarily think of him as, like, the same as Godzilla for some reason.
He's like, maybe he's like...
I always kind of thought of him kind of separate, so maybe...
Yeah, maybe they have a clever... Hopefully, they have a really good way of writing it so that, like, he is the only Titan that doesn't. He is his own alpha.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like, he doesn't follow any alpha. He's just on his own or something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Well, I've always thought of, because, you know, like, and I guess it wasn't really until seeing this one that, you know, it kind of hit me that, like, you know, Godzilla's always had, like, his own kind of, like the whole idea and the whole, like, story has always been kind of, like, he's had his own, like, sort of universe kind of, in a way.
It's, yeah,
like
the
his
only
own
time,
storyline, I guess.
the only time it's ever crossed was in the original King Kong versus Godzilla, yeah.
And so, like, is there more, are they trying to, like, build on to, like, the whole, like, King Kong story? Or is it going to be just, like...
Oh, it's all... Yeah.
Is there going to be, like, more different, like... Is there going to be, like, a different, like, interspecies kind of battle, maybe?
Maybe.
You know? Like, is there going to be more that we don't know about?
Oh,
Godzilla,
that's...
or, like,
I think...
Kong and stuff?
Based on this movie, I would be shocked if they didn't show us a bunch more fucking Titans in the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool when they were looking at the whole thing and it was like lit up with all and on like the whole world map and stuff.
Shows
you
you where all of them are. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Oh my god. And those are just the ones they found so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were cool. The one I liked the most was the one that was like a mountain. Cuz that's the one that looked most like it could have been in the Toho monsters. But you see him the least. I actually caught a couple more glimpses of him on like screens behind people, and when I watched it this time, so you actually do see more of him than I thought. But I still wanted to see even more because he looked pretty cool.
And it was
whatever
like,
that thing was.
The way that they tied all, you know, because it was a really like human versus like beast mentality kind of like, or like conflict, I guess, and. I feel like they like the you know, like the military and all like the people kind of responded in the way that you would expect people to kind of deal with this situation and stuff.
But then by the end, they responded in the way you wanted them.
Yeah.
When they fucking roll in with Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like that scene where like the big battleships are like right by his legs when he's walking through and the planes are coming in behind him like his reinforcement. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It doesn't get more epic than that. Like, oh shit. No, this time we join the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. But then there was that one tagline by Dr. Chen, one of the Mothra twins, at the very end of the movie, right before the final scene. He goes, "Glad he's on our side for now."
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
What is that? You're setting something up there. I know you are. What does that mean? So we shall see. We shall see. But we got Kong vs. Godzilla coming out March 31st of next year. And then we'll see what happens after that. So
yeah.
But honestly, I obviously want a lot more. I want to see like Anguirus and Gigan and Biollante and Mechagodzilla, and I want to see like so many more of these movies. But the fact that we're getting Kong vs. Godzilla and the fact that we got these first three, like if Kong vs. Godzilla is the last one, like I'm bummed, but I'm also okay that like I was not 10 years ago when I first found out a Godzilla movie was getting made. If you had told me, yeah, they're gonna end up making a Kong vs. Godzilla, I'd go fuck yourself. Yeah, like that's never gonna happen. What are you talking about?
That's like saying like Avengers and X-Men.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Kind of
exactly. Yeah. That's like someone going up to fucking Kevin Feige after Iron Man came out going, "You're going to get to the end game." Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. We're not getting that far. There's no way people... See, that's the thing is imagine if there had only been 3 or 4 Marvel movies in the last 10 years. Like, it would probably do about as well as Godzilla just did, you know, in the box office and shit. You know what I mean? It would still be just for a niche group of fans. It wouldn't... They wouldn't have cultivated an entire fucking social movement that is the fucking Marvel universe. Like,
I mean, to me these kind of movies are kind of like the next step, like the next thing. Maybe they're not, I don't know, maybe they don't have much of like a following and stuff, but like
Oh, you mean post Marvel?
Yeah.
But well, I mean, in a world where Marvel appears to be taking a break for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah.
Because there's no Marvel movie coming out next year that I know of, but that's when Godzilla vs. Kong comes out. So like I said earlier, that's a perfect time to release something like Godzilla vs. Kong. It's going to be the big blockbuster of the year.
It also makes me excited because, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is because there was a trailer for it at the beginning, but the Joker movie. The next
October.
Joker movie, yeah.
That's October.
I think that looks really cool. Despite like
the more times I see the trailer, the more I like it.
Yeah. I'm pretty interested in kind of where they're taking it and stuff.
I'm very interested in where they're I'm very interested in what they're I'm excited because I'm interested.
Yeah.
I'm not excited because I think it's going to be brilliant yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's hard, and like I don't know, I'm pretty sure we talked about it. Like to me, like Heath Ledger is Joker. Like that is, you can't really top that stuff. But this is kind of a different take on it all.
It's
like, it all seems like
I'm
it kind of seems like an origin story, but at the same time it doesn't really. Like it has, I don't know. Like there's a weird.
We're definitely going to see the creation of the Joker.
Yeah.
But my one thing is that what the Joker has always been for his entire existence is the antithesis to Batman. The Joker cannot exist without a Batman.
Yeah.
So Batman better be in this fucking movie in some form or another.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have the pressure of the Batman for the Joker to be created. And if you try to tell a story that's just Joker and Batman doesn't exist, I'm gonna be bummed out.
Well, and I feel like
that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. I feel like the trailers leave a lot to be desired.
They show us. I don't think it shows us anything.
Yeah.
I don't think it shows us dick about the story.
Yeah.
I think it shows us what they want us to know right now.
Yeah. I agree, because it's hard to imagine, like, because you always associate Joker with Batman, obviously, because that's, the same story.
Yeah.
Really, like, same, like.
Chocolate and vanilla.
Yeah.
Like Reese's and peanut butter.
Yeah.
Chocolate and peanut butter. That's what I meant.
Yeah. So I imagine they're probably going to, like, there's something, there has to be something that ties them all together and stuff. Maybe it ends up being, like, towards the end of it and stuff, where they end up building up to the next Batman movie, because they did also announce the, people are kind of in an uproar about it, but I don't remember who it is off the top of my head.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Sparkly vampire.
Yeah. Yeah. He's supposed to be the next
It's
Batman.
not going to be the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
It's confirmed 100%. He is the next Batman.
I don't know. How do you feel about that? To me, I feel like he could do a decent job at it.
When I read it, I said no.
Yeah.
But
initially, yeah, I thought the same thing.
That was my gut reaction.
Yeah.
But that was also my gut reaction when they said Heath Ledger is going to be Joker. And that was also a lot of people, everyone's gut reaction when they said Michael Keaton is going to be Batman.
Yeah.
A lot of you and I don't remember because I was literally born the year it came out. But Michael Keaton had just been in like some romantic comedy called like fucking Daddy Mom. I don't know. It was some weird like goofy rom-com sort. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But everyone was like, that guy's gonna be fucking Batman. But he is Batman to this day. So God damn it. So like
who's your favorite Batman, I guess, or like person to play Batman? To me, like, I don't know, I guess like I'd say either him or
Bale.
Yeah. Mostly because those were like the movies like that, and like I'm having a hard time accepting the fact that like it's like that's not what it is anymore. I guess, and like
those are the Keaton and Bale Batman movies are my favorite Batman movies.
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's hard to separate those two, I guess.
But I also really liked See, my problem with Keaton and Bale, because for me personally, my individual self, my relationship with Batman was comic books, but much more so the animated series.
That's yeah.
So I always wanted a Batman and a Bruce Wayne that looked like that. And the closest I ever got to that was fucking Affleck. So
yeah, see, I thought he did a good job as far as like what was the Batman vs Superman?
Justice League was actually the last
Justice League.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever saw that.
It was all right.
Yeah,
I actually liked it more than everybody else did.
But like
But I don't think he got his own movie. It was just Batman vs Superman and then Justice League.
Yeah.
Yeah, he never got his standalone outing as Batman.
Yeah.
And I think if he had, it would have been really good.
Yeah, that was one of the more strong points of that movie that I liked.
In a big bad way, just because, in Justice League and in Batman vs Superman, he was the best part of both of them, pretty much.
Yeah.
So if he had gotten to do his own, like that was originally planned, I think it would have been good. But man, it's hard. It's kind of hard to say. Because, I guess I would just go based on my favorite Batman movies, but, like, none of them have ever really hit it on every level the way I've wanted it to. So.
Other than, as far as, like, the animated series, other than, like, Frank Miller.
Yeah, well, there were other comics that I loved other than Frank Miller's Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Batman comics. But yeah, the animated series was like pretty much the main thing, and that was the voice, Kevin Conroy's voice. I like this in the cartoon. He was like big and bulky and had like a square head, and I always thought Ben Affleck like looked more like that than anyone else did.
No. Wasn't there a point where he was, or I think it was after Batman vs Superman, where he was supposed to be, there was supposed to be like a standalone Batman movie.
Yeah, he was supposed to be in it. Yeah,
didn't they like cancel it?
Yeah, it got canned. It just it was constantly hitting roadblocks for whatever reason. So now he was supposed to be in the one that's about to come out with Robert Pattinson, I think. But I think it was he was originally supposed to star, write, and direct.
That's right. Yeah. I remember it was a big deal.
Yeah, because he would have been like one of the first Academy Award winning directors to ever direct a Batman movie. Or something like that. But maybe Chris Nolan. I don't know. Anyway, no, I don't think he had an Oscar at that point yet. But he was supposed to do that, but now the new one is being directed by Matt Reeves, who you know what? Let's look him up real quick and what he's done.
Did you ever see Birdman?
I saw part of it. Did you see it all?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
It was in a profound sort of way. Like, it's kind of a hard movie to put into words. It won a ton of awards and shit, but like, I don't know. I liked it, but I also thought that it was kind of like it was a different kind of movie. Like, it was a different kind of like explanation of like the mindset of actors and stuff, and the mindset of like, that whole sort of thing. So it was different. I didn't like, it wasn't like the greatest movie I'd ever seen, but it was all, it also kind of like the ending of it kind of stuck with me, like made me think a little bit. So, but I would have rather have, based, I don't know. I'm to be honest, I don't really know why I brought that up with him, but like, I feel like for him to do that movie and then go on to do like a standalone Batman movie that he wrote and directed and everything, like I feel like it just should have been. Oh,
Keaton?
Yeah.
I think what they should do with Keaton, and I'm stealing this from Fat Man Beyond, but what I think they should do with Keaton is they should make a Batman Beyond movie.
Yeah,
and they should have Keaton play Old Man Batman.
Yeah,
training the new Batman.
Wow. Yeah, like a Ra's al Ghul kind of.
Yeah, dude.
Damn.
He's so sick.
I didn't think about that.
But again, from Fat Man on Batman, Mark Bernardin they were talking about Robert Pattinson being the Batman.
Yeah,
and
I haven't been keeping up with that show lately.
It's so good. Yeah. But they, they were both like, you know what? at the end of the day, vampire to dark brooding millionaire kind of makes sense. But fucking, at the end of the day, they were both in support of the casting. But Mark Bernardin said something that stuck out to me. He's like, I trust Matt Reeves, but I'm looking at what Matt Reeves has done, and he's got the Cloverfield. And
is he actor? Is he director?
He's the one directing the next Batman movie.
Okay.
But in his directing credits include the two most recent Planet of the Apes movies. Quite frankly, I like the first one the most.
I haven't really watched a whole lot of
the first one's very, very, very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cloverfield so I don't.
It's like some TV series and stuff.
Felicity, I never watched that. Miracles, I never watched that.
I will. Oh, Cloverfield. Yeah.
He did direct Cloverfield 1.
See, and
that was a good movie.
Yeah, that was one of those weird. Like, I didn't know what to think of it at first when I first saw it. I kind of felt like it was, like it was. I mean, clearly it was a monster movie, but it was a different it was a different way to do it.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
And that kind of like what stuck.
It was
with
like
me.
the Blair Witch style.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved Cloverfield 1. I didn't really like the sequels that much. They didn't make as much sense to me.
Yeah, ever since then, it's kind of gone off the rails a little bit.
It's weird.
But
I don't know what they're doing with the story there. But I did like it. I did like the first one a lot. I remember seeing that in theaters. And I remember being excited about it. I was like, oh, it's Godzilla. But like, and I always liked that cam shot style stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I can't deal with sitcoms anymore. Because I can't deal with laugh tracks. Every time I hear them stop talking and an audience laughing, I'm out. Like, it takes me out of it now.
Yeah.
And it bums me out because I used to love like Seinfeld and How I Met Your Mother, and then Preston pointed that out to me one time, and I was just like, fuck. Now I can't hear it anymore. It just sticks out.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the show to me.
But that's why I love Parks and Rec and The Office.
Yeah.
Because they're like that fucking cam style shot. There's no audience. You know what I mean? Like a documentary style almost. And I liked Cloverfield. I love Blair Witch Project. And I like movies that are, I think that's a cool way to do it. It's a cool way. There's a lot not that I'm a filmmaker, but from a filmmaker standpoint, there is a lot you can do with that to build tension and to, there's a lot of tools in that toolbox if you're gonna film like that I think that are really cool.
I will like the first Cloverfield movie it's a little rough.
Yeah,
especially
I mean,
now
it's not,
in comparison, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, I remember watching it for the first time in theaters and stuff, and then like when they first showed like the big monster and stuff, like I thought that was because like the whole movie they're leading up to that.
Yeah.
And then
talk about a monster movie where the monster's barely in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all of a sudden you see it and stuff. So like there are, I mean, and like all the, like the candid shots and the different things that like, kind of make it what it is, and I don't know, I just feel like added to it.
Yeah. Another good one that's kind of actually like Cloverfield is the first movie that Gareth Edwards, the director of 2014 Godzilla, the first big movie he had was a movie called Monsters. And it was a movie about giant monsters attacking the earth. And it was pretty much all told from like the human standpoint.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
No, not a lot of people have, but I recommend it. It is a good movie. And that's, if you watched that, you're like, oh, Godzilla 2014 makes a lot of sense. Like that's this director, that's his style, that's what he does. And he does a good job. But the only reason he didn't make this Godzilla King of Monsters was because he's off doing a fucking Star Wars project with Disney. I think he got tapped to do a Star Wars movie or something Star Wars. So, yeah.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, Monsters is a good one to check out. Gareth Edwards. Yeah. You should watch that, and then you should watch Godzilla 2014 again, and you'll be like, oh, okay. I get it now. It's just that, and that was a big complaint. He wasn't in it enough. It was too much of the human story, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But the thing that made Monsters so damn good was that when you finally got to the monsters, it was that much more brilliant and epic. And that's what it was in Godzilla 2014 as well. So, yeah. Like that first time that his fucking fins light up in Godzilla 2014. Because the first time I saw it, by that time in the movie, Like I wasn't even thinking about it. Like I'd forgotten about that. Like I wasn't expecting him to do it, and B, I'd forgotten that he could.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know if he could in this
Oh,
world.
yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in that first movie, when it's just all of a sudden the guy's face gets lit up with blue, and then you start seeing it through the fog, you're like, no way. No way they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're doing it. Oh my God, they're doing it.
Yeah. That was kind of how I felt about like the fire shit in this movie.
Mm-hmm. When
Same
he was
kinda-
burning Godzilla? Yeah. I was
was so
expecting
cool.
him to have like red fire instead of
Yeah.
like a sonic blast sort of thing, but as he's walking, he's melting everything he's standing next to because he's so hot and radioactive.
Mm.
And he literally melts King Ghidorah. Like he literally melted him away.
Yeah.
Like, oh. And I love how they're making it a thing in these movies, which actually, now that I think about it, gives me great concern for King Kong. I love how they're making it a thing in these movies to where at the end of both the movies, he's ripped off a head.
Oh, dude.
Like
Yeah.
he's holding the enemy's head in
Yeah.
his hand or mouth.
Yeah.
And
Metal as fuck.
that makes me worried for King Kong.
Oh, could you imagine at the end of that?
If he
he's-
rips off King
just
Kong's
like-
head, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be insane. That would be insane.
Well, what other like? I mean, I know we've been talking about this for a while, but like what? I guess like are there any other like monsters in terms of like King Kong, like the universe and stuff? I mean, I don't even know if like universe is the right word, but like that whole
I mean,
storyline of it.
Godzilla's there's lots of other Godzilla monsters. There's Anguirus, who's like a lizard porcupine thing. There's Gigan, who has like these big blades on his arms and his head.
I was talking in terms of like King Kong.
Oh, well, in King Kong, the only other monsters are just the ones on Skull Island.
Yeah.
And that's even in the original movies. Like in all the original movies, he still had to fight off like a giant spider, a T-Rex, other monsters on Skull Island and stuff.
Yeah.
So and like it said in the fucking that's the other thing is in the legendary universe. The Legendary is the company that makes all these.
Yeah.
They fucking in the Toho universe, there's a Monster Island. In the Legendary universe, there's no Monster Island. There's Skull Island.
Hmm.
So I think that's what they're going to do. I think that's where they're going to go with it, is they're going to turn Skull Island into their Monster Island, which is where King Kong's from. And I think that's fucking awesome.
Huh.
It's a brilliant way to connect the two universes.
Yeah, that would make sense because I mean, kind of like what you're saying. A lot of the, I mean, there was only a couple of the ones that they didn't really mention, or like that we didn't really see at all. And I
Yeah,
feel
we
like-
only saw like 7, like 3 on top of the 4 we always knew we were gonna see.
Yeah.
But then there's like a list of like 10 more that we saw their names, but we didn't see them. So.
Yeah.
And maybe we actually did on some of the background screens that I missed. That's why I'm excited to come out on Blu-ray. I'm gonna fucking pause every second. Screen shot by shot, screen grab, you know what I mean? Frame by frame, that's what I meant. Frame by frame. Yeah. God, so fucking good, dude. So fucking good.
I honestly didn't expect it like to form this much of a to stick with me as much as it did. But for some reason, like it's got me thinking
Hell
a
yeah.
lot of different
It's because they did. It's such a great job at expanding on this cinematic universe.
Yeah.
They're calling it the Monsterverse. Fucking, it did such a good job at making it bigger, something to think about.
Yeah.
Literally, like it's so I loved it.
Like I said, I didn't know if you saw it 3 times already, so it's kind of interesting to hear
Still
yours
good.
as compared to
Still good.
yeah.
After 3 viewings, still brilliant. I loved it. Probably even more now. Like, man, so fucking good, dude. We should probably move on to a different topic.
That's just kind of fresh in my mind, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
we had to talk about it.
Yeah.
We had to. So, you can go to the bathroom? All right, I'll pause this. And we're back. All right. No, I got an article I want to talk to you about. Saw this earlier and it upset me. And I'm sure you've seen this on Facebook. New study claims listening to heavy metal can cause bad driving.
I have seen that.
It's an article that's been going around past few days, and I cannot even. Let me just. It's a short, pretty short article. Let me just read it to you, so you can just get all the same amounts of angry that I got. Ran by IAM Road Smart, a motor magazine, Auto Express. The experiment set out to analyze driver behavior and safety while listening to various types of music. The study compared tracks from Slipknot, the song Sick, Taylor Swift, Shake It Off, and Kendrick Lamar's Humble, and Johann Sebastian Bach, Goldberg Variations. The heavier and more extreme the music, the more erratic and dangerous the driver became. The results stated. Mellow classical music resulted in the driver being too relaxed, while pop music appeared to be the best for controlled driving. Consumer reporter Tristan Shale Hester took to the Red Bull Ring Grand Prix track in Austria, executing 2 laps of various acceleration, cornering, and speed challenges, ending with a controlled stop at the finish line, all while listening to the aforementioned 4 songs at full volume. While listening to Slipknot, Shale Hester's time was 14 seconds slower than his controlled lap and much more erratic than the other tests. Listening to the piece by Bach resulted in him being 12 seconds slower than the controlled lap, and Kendrick Lamar's song resulted in a bad finish past the line. And the Taylor Swift song was the smoothest in terms of speed consistency. What is clear is that ferocious thrash metal really reduced the ability of the driver to get around the track smoothly, said Tim Shallcross, IAM Road Smart's head of technology policy. Quote, that and high energy dance music are designed to be felt as well as heard and to be listened to at volume. It's clear that neither help when it comes to making exact driving maneuvers. He added, volume is the major factor for concentration and has a big effect. I would certainly advise drivers to dial down the noise while making maneuvers and save thrash metal for later in the day. First of all, Slipknot is not thrash metal.
Yeah.
First of all,
that's kind of beside the point, though.
You clearly don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Off the bat.
Yeah.
Every metalhead that read that article went, go fuck yourself. Go ahead and fuck yourself. Because Slipknot is not thrash metal. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Okay? First of all. And second of all, I don't know, it appears that they had some sort of professional driver doing this. How about you comprise an experiment where you take into consideration the fact that heavy metal is the most unique form of music genre subculture that exists, and that to us it is not just something we casually throw on, but it's a way of life. How about you have one of them do a driving test with some metal at full volume on, I don't know, a normal course where you don't you got to do a couple maneuvers, but at the end of the day, it's nothing that you're not going to do on a day in busy traffic in a normal Midwestern city or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you and I have actually talked about this before, like how the ability for me to listen to metal in the car ride on the way home from like work or whatever is a game changer. Like it makes me feel better. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel more alert. It makes me feel less like pissed off if someone fucking cuts me off or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we've talked about that before on this podcast.
Yeah.
So for this study to come out and have a non-metalhead driver drive a little more erratically when they're listening to Slipknot, not thrash metal, it doesn't exactly surprise me, especially if they don't listen to heavy metal on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So
I will say
foolish. Foolish.
Yeah. I mean, set aside the details and stuff. I will say that, like, and like I don't know. I guess like I've kind of been like not necessarily like cutting it down, but like trying to like pay attention a little more as far as like when I'm driving and stuff. But like I don't really feel like it's much of a difference as far as like what I'm listening to as compared to how I'm driving and stuff. Like I think it more depends on the person. Really.
Yeah.
Like if you're more like triggered and more like I don't know. I don't even know what the word is, but like if you're more like what is the word, like accessible as a person, maybe? Like if you're more maybe like influenced. If you're more influenced as a person to like feel more aggressive in terms of like hearing heavy music and stuff and driving, and you associate the two together, like yeah, I can see it. But at the same time, like to blame like metal in terms of like bad driving, like bad drivers are just bad drivers. Like that's on you.
But I don't necessarily think that that's what they were just trying to see what the effect was, and the effect on this one person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Doesn't fucking give you nearly enough data.
I mean, like, I can't say that I've never felt like more of an aggressive driver if I were listening to something, but at the same time, like, you gotta take into consideration like the circumstance.
Definitely have to. Yes, absolutely. But also,
because if you're mad and you're driving, like you're just enraged.
Then you're just mad no matter what you're listening to.
Yeah.
But coming from someone who only listens to heavy metal and listens to it every single day of his life, I can tell you that like if it's at full volume, it's just because I'm extra into it.
Yeah.
And I'm not in any way, shape, or form a more aggressive driver. And as a matter of fact, yeah, I would actually say that it benefits my driving as opposed to when I'm listening to something I don't like or if I'm listening to nothing.
Yeah. Well, and actually, it's kind of funny that you bring this up because like I've been kind of like trying to pay attention a little bit more in terms of like my like just like how I am when I'm like driving and stuff. And a lot of times like at least lately, like it kind of like puts me in like a little bit like a flow state when nothing is happening.
Yeah, absolutely it does.
Yeah. It as compared to like having like something like super loud and like aggressive blasting and stuff. Like I feel like I'm a little bit more aggressive and stuff, but I don't feel like that's at the fault of
honestly
like the music and stuff. I just feel like that's just how I'm feeling at the time.
For me, I can speak for me personally on this, and for Preston, him and I have both experienced flow state while driving while listening to heavy metal at high volumes.
Yeah.
Like to the point where we lost time.
That's
like literally entered flow state, didn't realize it, and lost time.
Yeah.
Like, I can specifically point to 3 instances where Preston and I were actually together and this happened. I know there's been more, but I can like 3 big ones always pop up in my head. But yeah, like there's something about driving, man. Like when you're driving, you're in a heightened state already. Hyper aware, hyper alert of the things going on around you. You're operating a multi-ton vehicle around a bunch of other multi-ton vehicles at high speeds.
Oh.
Killing machines. Things that could kill whatever they hit, potentially. So you're already at a heightened state. Now, I think for most people, heavy metal continues to heighten that state, which could cause more erratic behavior. But for people like us, who heavy metal is our normal state, I don't think it makes much of a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ultimately, because I'm I love driving and I take it really seriously. I don't fucking pride myself on very many things at all, but I do pride myself on being a good driver. Because I see so many fucking idiots every goddamn day that almost fucking kill me because they're morons. But I 100% attribute heavy metal to that. Part of the reason is practice makes perfect, and I've driven I used to something I used to do on a virtually daily basis was just go for a 1 to 2 hour long drive on backcountry roads listening to metal. And this was in the early years of me driving. So I got better at driving while I was essentially practicing driving, if you want to look at it that way, listening to loud heavy metal at the same time. So I never looked at it that way at the time, but looking back, you could look at it that way. And I think that definitely made a difference too. The amount of time I spent behind the wheel when I was young, is insane.
It seems like it makes you more maybe assertive. I guess it makes you make decisions a little quicker than it would if you were listening to something else. I mean, I don't know. It is pretty interesting. It's funny that you bring that up because I've been kind of thinking about my different driving habits and stuff and things that I pay attention to while I'm doing it in terms of just I
mean, full disclosure, on a regular basis, I'm gonna let you inside my head a little bit here. On a regular basis, when I'm driving down the road, left hand on the wheel, and I got the subs all the way up, blasting the best heavy metal. Especially if it's something like a Lamb of God or a Monomarth or something, you know what I mean? Cannibal, whatever. Slayer, fucking, I just named the 4 bands we just saw. Ball Wraith, there we go. Hey. Fucking, if I'm driving down the road, it's a beautiful day, all windows are down. Even if it's not a nice day, even in the winter sometimes, if I'm blasting that and I'm going down the road, I'm literally you remember in the movie Ghost Rider when his motorcycle turns into the Ghost Rider motorcycle, that transformation scene?
Yeah.
I literally picture that happening to my car while I'm in it. But then also there's a bunch of my car becomes a chariot with horses in front of it. And it's just you're a thunder god rolling down the road with the fucking subs on and everything. And it doesn't make me want to go any faster or anything, but you just, for a minute there, you feel like a fucking king, a fucking god. Yeah. And you're hyper aware of everything around you, you know what I mean? I don't know, it just adds to the overall experience and in no way, shape, or form hinders it in any way.
Well, that's what I mean. A lot of that article has to do with the person.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like he's subjecting himself to these different genres and stuff.
I don't even listen to any of this music anyway.
Yeah, and expecting it to make a difference in terms of people that just do it on the regular.
And
if it's what you're used to, then I don't feel like it makes that big of a difference. But if you're trying to subject yourself to it to make a point, then I mean, obviously it's gonna make
And what do you they didn't even use they used pop, classical, and metal.
Yeah.
They didn't use any other forms of music. A. And B, it's their results are also inconsistent with other heavy metal related experiments that I've read over the years, like the famous Rat one that happened a while ago now. But where they had a rat listen to pop, rap, classical, and metal to go through the maze and find the cheese. And the classical, according to this article, the classical music slowed the person down. But according to the rat experiment, that was the fastest one to find the cheese. Rap was the slowest, and the metal rats killed each other before they ever made it to the end.
Yeah.
It's my favorite fucking story ever. But they killed each other. Literally, both of them. They killed each other. Like, but so yeah, those results are inconsistent with these results if you're looking at it from the classical music standpoint, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about that article. When I read that Slipknot was the song and they were calling it thrash metal, it just pissed me off so fucking much. It's like, you fucking assholes. Like, can't you get that right? Like, hold on. Let's conduct a quick experiment here. And let's see just how hard it would have been for them to get that right.
I mean, like, I can't deny the fact that when a certain song comes on, like, you know, it makes you want to speed. Like, there are songs that when it hits you, like,
you do want to go faster.
It's yeah.
I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
That does happen. But it's also like that happens when you're having a good day and you're in a good mood and it's nice out and there are all these other factors attributing. You know what I mean?
Instead of just hearing something heavy and just wanting to go fast.
Yeah, that or drive erratically or you know what I mean? Yeah, okay. So
and like even when it does make me want to speed, like I still follow laws. Like I still, you know.
Yeah. I'm not fucking Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they can go fuck themselves because all they had to do was Wikipedia Slipknot. And it lists the genres. Heavy metal? Yep. New metal? Yep.
Yeah.
Alternative metal? Absolutely. Groove metal? Yeah. Sure, why not? New groove metal if you wanted to create... Yeah, but no, yeah, I could put them in that category too.
Yeah.
That's it. Thrash metal ain't listed.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers didn't even read the Wikipedia page of the band that they were using in their experiment.
Yeah.
Cock suckers. Do your fucking research. Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? Like,
I mean, I guess like thrash metal. I mean, I don't know. Like I guess they do have parts that are thrash, especially in that song. Like there are parts that are a little bit more like thrashy than others and stuff, but like
still, fuck off. Like you can't call Slipknot thrash metal. Like it's not. It's just not. If you wanted to use thrash metal in your fucking experiment, you would have used fucking Rain Blood or Angel of Death. Like what the fuck? Like what? Or, you know what? I'm not just remove the word thrash. Why did you have to say thrash metal? If you just said metal, I would have been fine with it.
Yeah.
But no, you're trying to attribute a specific subgenre like you fucking know something and you're getting it wrong. Oh, my God. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. That pissed me off.
It is pretty interesting.
Fake. It makes it seem fake. It makes you seem fake. Like you're not fucking actually conducting the proper amount of research.
Like
if you can't even get that right.
Yeah, you're just trying to prove a point.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me do that fucking test. Let me do that fucking test. I guarantee you I will hit more cones while I'm listening to Taylor fucking Swift than fucking Slipknot. Jesus Christ.
Hey man, she got some good songs.
Go to hell. What are you talking about?
At least she writes her own
I mean,
music.
in fairness, I've never, I couldn't name you. I don't know. I'm sure I've heard a Taylor Swift song, but I don't know that I've heard it.
No.
Like, I don't know what her voice actually sounds like. Maybe I do. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. I've certainly never sought it out.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've been accidentally exposed, but
she at least writes her own music, and that's...
Does she?
Yeah.
Really?
At least like her early shit.
Okay.
I remember watching like documentaries and shit about
All
her.
right. Well, hey, yeah, I do appreciate that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. From yeah.
But it doesn't at all take away from the fact that like
I mean,
hey man, you could be aggressive and listen to Taylor Swift and still make shitty decisions when you're driving.
Here's yeah, exactly. Yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because I'd just be mad that I was listening to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, like it doesn't.
Fuck you, cocksucker.
It doesn't take away from how bad of a driver you are. Like if you're a bad driver, you're listening to metal, like you're probably gonna be even worse of a driver.
Yeah. Especially if you don't listen to metal regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you normally listen to Taylor Swift and you listen to Slayer, you're probably going to drive weird.
Yeah.
Like,
it doesn't make a difference, really. I feel like that was more just like an article to prove a point.
I do think it makes a difference because I think that heavy metal makes me a better driver. I think it does make a difference, and I think that article is wrong. I don't think they did nearly enough testing.
Yeah. I think
proper testing.
The words assertive and aggressive were kind of switched there. Because I've found myself in situations where I've been a little more like assertive in terms of like how I'm driving in terms of like being aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a big difference there.
Yes. Yes, there's a huge difference.
In terms of like, being aggressive about the way that someone in front of you is being, and like, like being slow or like just driving bad, or like, I guess like how you deal with bad drivers in terms of being assertive and actually like,
I mean, honestly, when I have loud heavy metal on and I got a bad driver in front of me and I can scream along with the heavy metal, it makes me feel better. And it makes me like not flip anybody off or do crazy shit. I just start headbanging and shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I just go into that instead to take out the aggression. But also, I think that because the thing that bothered, like obviously, there's all the things that happen on the road, but the things on a daily basis that probably bother me the most is the shit where people aren't assertive enough. Like where they want to slow down in front of me and slow down an entire lane of traffic to wait for an opening in the next lane over to get over. It's like, so you want to slow down an entire lane as opposed to be assertive and jump over when you get the open. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make sense to me. Like the people that want to cut, like when they fuck up on a turn, they need to get in another lane and want to cut in front of everyone in a bad way or whatever. So you want to slow down, you want to fuck up this entire flow of traffic so your ass can get in there. Like I don't think people realize how dangerous that is. Like at the end of the day, like you are endangering every single person that has to stop in that line right now to wait for you. So and that's as a result of not being that assertive while behind the wheel of a car in anticipation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anticipation of yourself on the road and everyone else. That's where everyone loses out, is they stop thinking about everyone else that's on the road at the same time.
Oh, you can be assertive and still listen to like, I guess like my argument is I don't feel like it matters.
The music matters at all. I agree. Yeah.
It matters what kind of driver you are and like what,
I agree with you.
Some people don't listen to anything and are still just bad drivers or still just aggressive drivers.
Or NPR.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, yeah.
I'd be mad too.
Yeah. I mean, and like even with the current state of things, like, I mean, imagine listening to NPR and being a person that is like frustrated by that.
Mm-hmm.
And then driving. While they're driving, they're thinking
Trump did
about
what?
Yeah.
Fuck you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
as opposed to red and black.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I listen to nothing but podcasts or metal.
Yeah.
Those are the two. There's nothing else on the radio while I'm driving. Like, absolutely nothing. I don't know. So yeah, I kind of agree. I'm kind of in your camp where at the end of the day, I don't think the music matters unless the person lets it matter. And for me, I let it matter in that I think while I'm listening to metal, I'm actually a better driver.
Yeah. I mean, if you're, it kind of comes back to the fact that, like, if you're a bad driver, you're just a bad driver.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't matter what you listen
to. Yeah. Get better.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing? You're operating a multi-ton vehicle that's a killing machine.
Yeah.
If you drive it through a crowd of people. So, you got to be more responsible.
It's kind of funny. I mean, I was kind of thinking about that the last couple of days. Because I did see that come up, and I was like, huh, like, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I kept seeing that fucking article pop up, and this morning, I was like, all right, I got to read it. So I got to talk about it on the podcast. And, I was like, I was literally, it was one of the first things I read this morning, and I just started fuming. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, this is such poor testing. Like, yeah. I think it's just I don't think the music matters. B, I think it more depends on the individual and their relation to the music as opposed to the music itself.
Yeah, it would have been more of an actual study if they would have taken how multiple people adapt to it.
You don't have it on a fucking. There is a way to construct safe closed courses that essentially just mimic daily driving or like pretty standard things that we've all dealt with, getting cut off or this or that. You know what I mean? Like things where you do have to pull a maneuver once in a while.
Yeah.
That we've all dealt with.
Yeah.
And there are ways to construct a course where you don't need a professional driver. You can have multiple fucking people do the course and have it be safe and everything. So yeah, I'd like to conduct an experiment, and what I would do is I would pick each genre of music, and then I would only accept participants that have been to concerts. So these are the people that are willing to pay to see the music that they love live.
Yeah.
And I want them to take the test. And I want it from every genre that I'm using as a test.
I mean, I guess it would also depend on if you're subjecting the person to something that they're not used to. Obviously, they're gonna react a little bit like more aggressively to the heavier music as compared to like what's played on the radio.
Maybe, but I'm not aware of any experiments that are anything like this that ever. I'm sure some exist that I'm just not aware of, but that actually tested fucking metalheads in this stuff. Like have an actual fan of metal music do some of these experiments and see if they're different.
Yeah.
Like what's going on there. Because it's hard to explain heavy metal, why heavy metal even exists or why we love it so much to begin with. Like it in a lot of ways doesn't make sense that we're into this fucking crazy black and gory and dark and heavy and fucking crazy fucking music, like the most extreme music on planet Earth. And it's extreme. And so, do you know what an extremophile is? It's an organism that only that can live in extreme places where there was a point in time where we thought nothing could live, like in ice or in a volcano.
Yeah.
There are organisms that can live in those conditions. Those are called extremophiles. We're like extremophiles of music.
Yeah.
And where we prefer to exist within the most extreme of realms of music that exists. So I genuinely feel like someone that listens to heavy metal every single fucking day, lives it, breathes it, it's going to have a different effect on that person than anyone else who doesn't. Anyone else. Because like I said earlier, heavy metal is a subculture. It's not just a music genre. The people that listen to any of the other, from Johann Sebastian Bach to Taylor Swift to Kendrick Lamar or anyone else they use in the experiment, fucking those fans aren't the same as us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't have an arsenal of the t-shirts. They're not obsessed with it on the level that we are. It's not a subculture. You know what I mean? Pop music doesn't have it's just pop. It's whatever's popular. So the popular, it's not it's the popular. It's not the subculture. You know what I mean? They don't have that. So I genuinely feel like all those factors make a big difference. And if you were to do tests like this on people from the fucking subculture, then you would see different results. Yeah. I really think that. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I do think that. Because you know what? Oh, shit. We can look one up. Oh, shit. We can look one up. I got one right here that I didn't even read yet. Because there was another one that's been going on around this week. Let's see if I can find it. driving, bad driving. Study finds listening to Slipknot can make you a more dangerous driver.
Yeah.
That is
Well,
I mean, come on, that's such a great headline.
Yeah. Dude, every day there's been a different headline about them.
It's so funny.
Like,
There we go. This is the one I was looking for. Article is, scientific study finds that 1980s metalheads thrive and develop healthy adult lives. A new study conducted by psychology researchers in America at American universities have managed to determine that metalheads have become happier and more well-adjusted adults following their musical choices. In the 1980s, when metal music began to grow in popularity, bands like Def Leppard, Black Sabbath, Motley Crue, and more were blasting out by millions of angsty teenagers who were rebelling against society. Were being blasted out by me. Promoted lyrics like "I Want to Watch You Bleed" or "We Are Ready to Kill All Comers" began to scare the shit out of parents who looking at their children starting suffering from the paranoia that their kids are being brainwashed by the guitars and slaying metal monsters. While criticism of the music genre was steadily growing, so was sales and commercial popularity. With no sign of metalheads disappearing, a prominent committee was formed in the U.S., which went by the name of the PMRC, the Parents Music Resource Center, who tried to put a stop to all this racket. Apparently, the PMRC formed in 1985 with the stated goal of increasing parental control over the access of children to music deemed to have violent, drug-related, or sexual themes via labeling albums with the parental advisory sticker. Oh! The PMRC, who grew to include 22 participants before shutting down in the mid to late 90s, had a list which was labeled the Filthy 15. And
it's weird that it all kind of comes full circle. It
all circles up. It's also the name of our top 15 albums of the year list. And contain names of musicians and their songs which contain lyrical content of sex, drugs, masturbation, occult, or violence. The fear, of course, was that parents believed their children would grow up to be violent adults after exposing themselves to such content. Oh, even more full circle. Twisted Sister's Dee Snider famously called out the PMRC during a performance in 1985, accusing them of misinterpreting his band's lyrics and falsely labeling them as a band that could enforce negativity. Now, 34 years later, Snider could well have been proven right. Duh!
I guess, like, with talking about how like metal music affects driving, you could also put together the argument and the big thing that has come around, I guess recently. I think I saw an article about it the other day about how like video games affect like, you know,
gun use.
Yeah.
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
It was like kids who play more violent video games,
I mean,
if they handle a gun, are more likely to handle it violently.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it the same argument in a way?
I mean,
I guess maybe not to quite the extreme, but I mean, isn't it kind of like one and the same? Like if you're into this, then obviously you're going to be placed into this, or if you're going to be more apt to
sort of. Look. Here I think the problem with that study, I haven't read it, so I don't know if they take this into account or not. But I think that, look, let's be real. And I don't know. I genuinely don't know how many members the NRA has. I don't know how many Boy Scouts still exist or any of that. What I know is that I grew up in Michigan and I was in the Boy Scouts. That's a common thing here. And we did a lot of camping, and when we would go to certain camp places, there would be gun ranges and we would shoot guns. So at a very, very early, before I was like even 10 years old, I was taught basics on how to handle a gun safely. And those basics that I was taught that long ago have stuck with me to this day. If I had to venture a guess, I would say not as many people that have been born past the year 2000 have that same experience, understanding, and training as people that were born before 2000.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could be wrong. Because there have been more gun sales probably than ever. But does that mean people are actually, especially children, are being trained and having any kind of understanding of what this is? Just basic safety training. Like, I honestly think that is something that used to be taught in schools, in Michigan at least. Not long ago either. My Jordan, Jordan, one of my best friends, his fucking uncle, who's like in his like late 60s, early 70s, so not even that long ago, in school was able to bring his hunting rifle to school because he was leaving from school to go hunting.
I think, yeah. Seems like I remember a few kids doing that.
This is a fucking, I don't think violent video games or music or movies have nearly as much of an effect on violent gun use as a combination of lack of gun training, A, and B, lack of mental health awareness.
Yeah.
I think those two, lack of training and lack of understanding mental health, are the biggest factors.
Mm.
That's what I think. I'm an idiot, but that's what I think.
I don't think that mental health is enough of an issue in the country.
Certainly not talked about.
Yeah.
When it comes to these mass shootings or gun related shit, it's certainly not fucking talked about.
I mean, I can think of a few different stories in the last couple weeks that have, it's all about in the fact that they've been pointed out to people, these specific people have been pointed out and nobody's done anything, and then all of a sudden there's this big national tragedy that happens, and
they knew about it. They were on a list.
Yeah. So I think,
and they want to blame Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
They don't want to blame the Prozac.
Yeah.
Because Prozac's a sponsor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fucking.
Well, that's kind of what I mean. It all comes back to the person. Whether we're talking about erratic driving or gun control or whatever, it all comes back to who's behind it. Yeah. And if you're a crazy person and you're behind that kind of thing, obviously you're
a car or a gun.
Yeah. In reality, it's all kind of the same thing, and I feel like, the more things happen, the more times change and stuff, I think the more, mental health is going to be a bigger issue. And
I think so too.
And it kind of I don't know. It doesn't necessarily irritate me, the fact that it isn't a bigger issue, but I feel like more of the top people that are in charge of this sort of thing are kind of starting to understand that not everybody's made wired the same. Not everybody's put together the same and stuff, and these kind of studies I feel like help kind of bring light to this sort of issue.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like it's as big of a thing that as it should be.
It does bother me that it's not a bigger thing, but I think I understand why it isn't. I don't know if you got HBO or not, but if you do, you should check out the miniseries Chernobyl. I'm not done with it yet, but I watched the first handful of episodes because I've heard so many people say it's good, and it is very good.
Oh.
And one of the reasons why it's good is because it does a good job illustrating part of the reason why that was such a horrific disaster was sheer ignorance, because not enough people had anywhere close to enough of an understanding of what a nuclear core eruption meant.
Yeah.
And what any of, or how a nuclear reactor even works. You know what I mean? And the show does a really good job at illustrating that. it does bother me that mental health is not a bigger topic of discussion when it comes to this stuff. However, while I do think there are some hands at work where pharmaceutical companies who advertise on these news channels prevent them from talking about their drugs, the people that commit these crimes taking their drugs, I definitely think that's happening.
No.
I also think that's able to happen because of not just the publics, but even the scientists. We just have such an elementary understanding of the human brain at this point. Like we're just starting to scratch the surface. Like we're just starting to get there. Like there is so much that we don't understand. We know it happens. We just don't know how or why it happens. What when one of the recent episodes of Joe Rogan, we was talking about AI and self-driving cars, and he was talking about how computers can't do it yet because they don't have the ability yet. Like you've seen all the robots on YouTube, you've seen all the AIs that exist in the world today, you've seen it all, yet none of them can reason and anticipate and understand driving the way a human brain can.
Oh.
Like it's still beyond our understanding. So I think that's a big reason why it's able to be pushed under the rug, because not enough people have anywhere close to enough understanding of it. I mean, fuck, most of the fucking country probably still believes in a God. And, once you get to that point, you kind of stop. That was my biggest, when I was younger and being kind of forced into the church, that was one of my biggest problems with it, is I felt like it was forcing me to stop exploring for more answers about the universe and about us and about the bigger questions. Like, I feel like this is something that's just going to supply me with generic answers that don't make sense. I want to know the real answers. So I kept going. I didn't stop at that. I feel like religion is a place to stop. If you want to stop, you get religious. If you want to keep going, you keep going. That's just it. Like the fucking so understanding, there's just the ways that our fucking brains do shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be hard to educate the public on that. It's probably the scientific understanding is probably farther than I even know, because they haven't figured out a way to explain it to the public yet in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, they're probably making discoveries every fucking day that would blow my mind, but like nobody's talking about it. You know what I mean? Because nobody understands it.
No,
that's
why it's probably why Area 51 is such a talked about thing. It's such a conspiracy.
Well,
because if they were to really, not to get too, I guess too far off topic, but
no,
if they were to explain it in a way that we could all understand, like, I feel like there would even be like more questions about it and stuff. Like,
you might be surprised about that one.
Yeah, maybe
there's an author.
I guess of my ignorance, I haven't really looked too far into it.
Well. There's new information, because there's this author named Annie Jacobson. She was actually on an episode of Dee Snider's podcast.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
And in the past few weeks, she was actually on Joe Rogan's. And she herself has combed through every, like, pretty much piece of Freedom of Information Act, Area 51 declassified information that exists, because a lot of stuff is getting declassified lately.
Yeah.
So according to the formally classified documents, could these be a lie? Sure. Like, could the government have multiple layers of secrecy and have these documents that are becoming unclassified be the lie, and then later more documents become unclassified? That's another lie until we get to the third one. Sure, we could go down that rabbit hole. But here's the fact of the matter. The declassified documents from the United States government, she has read them and put them verbatim in her books, and it spells out what was going on. It spells it out. The Russians, this is at that point in time, the fucking Russians developed not with aliens, but they developed these like spy drones that were in the shape of saucers. Mm-hmm. And they were able to get them over the United States and into United States airspace. One of them crashes in Roswell. And the United States government then puts out the story of possible leaks, quote unquote, the story of UFOs and aliens, because at that point in time, if it had leaked that it was actually a Russian plane that was able to get over our airspace and possibly detonate a weapon, that would have been catastrophic. Whereas an alien, that doesn't do anything. That just gives people something to talk about. So they put out the story of the aliens to distract from the fact that it was actually Russian. And Area 51, ever since then, has become known for that and developing aerospace technology, new planes. That's where they developed the stealth bomber and stuff like that, and stuff we probably still haven't heard of. They probably have the craziest drones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's according to her book and the declassified documents. And honestly, I buy it. You know what I mean?
I guess I'd have to listen to it a little bit more, but yeah.
She talks about it, that one, a lot more in depth on the D. Snyder podcast. I'd recommend checking that one out. Yeah. She lays all that out in that one. In the Rogan one, she talks about a little bit more of her new book, which is about some different stuff. But very good, very good. Yeah, definitely something to check out. And to date, you know, one of the more plausible explanations I've ever heard. But then you have all these, you know, it's tapestry.
Well, it always is.
It's a tapestry. Yeah. So, but anyway, hold on. Let me finish this article. Sorry to get
off on a tangent.
No, that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, new scientific study. So we left off. Twisted Sister, Dee Snider's famously called him out, and he may have been proven right. A new scientific study has examined 1980s heavy metal groupies, musicians, and fans at middle age, exploring the impact of metal music has had on those who lived passionately through it. The study found that 80s metal kids lived riskier lives in their youth, but emerged significantly happier in their youth and better adjusted currently than either middle-aged or current college-aged youth compared groups. That's written really weird. The researchers reflecting on their results concluded that participation in fringe-style cultures may enhance identity development in troubled youth. The study titled "Oh, Sex and Gender in the 80s heavy metal scene, groupies, musicians, and fans recall their experience." That's the name of the study, apparently. Explained, quote, "Groupies, heavy metal musicians, and highly devoted fans, metalheads, were some of the most salient identity groups for teenagers and emerging adults in the late 80s. The tail end of the baby boom and the beginning of the newly emerging Generation X met with appalled reaction from conventional society. The heavy metal scene nevertheless appeared to help at least some disenchanted youths negotiate turbulent times," end quote. The study confirmed that fact that psychology researchers asked metalheads to describe their childhood experiences, which included maltreatment, sexual and substance use, identity issues, and mental health, and more. Reflecting on all the data, the study found that despite their trauma and risky behaviors, metalheads have been able to thrive and develop healthy adult lives from which they look back fondly on those 80s experiences.
I mean, like, to me, what that says is, you know, well, yeah, but like, it's more a matter of, you know, I mean, like I know I keep saying it and stuff, but it all kind of depends on the person.
Yeah.
You know, like it depends on what, you know, because I mean we're all kind of chasing the bigger picture, really.
Yeah.
And what that says to me is the people that got really into super heavy stuff, or like, you know, just metal in general, tend to be a little bit more like, you know, think outside the box kind of.
Yeah.
And I mean that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And to just try to, like, you know, seek out more truth than just like, oh well, so you live and then you die, and then, you know, that kind of sort of concept. And,
or even if you do it with the horns high.
Yeah. So like it, you know, it's, I don't know, like I guess, I don't know, it's hard to really make anything out of that, because like on the one hand, like I get it, like, you know, if in kind of like what we were talking about, like if you're not used to it, and if you subject yourself to it, then you're gonna feel a certain way about it.
Right.
But if you don't, then I mean,
it makes no difference.
Yeah. It doesn't make it's not gonna affect you in any way.
Right. Right.
So I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe I'll have to pay more attention
I mean,
to that,
you know,
in my personal life, in terms of like
it was heavy metal wasn't the first genre by far ever to be like protested or called devil music.
Yeah.
But it was the first one to get as far as like Congress.
Yeah.
And
causing like that big conversation. It caused the conversation is really what it did.
And so, so it makes sense. I guess it makes sense that these studies are being done, because that was such a big impact in the early, like that whole thing, the Filthy 15, the parental advisory stickers, censorship, all that it was such a big deal in the early 90s. That it makes sense for some scientists out there to wonder, like some social scientists to be like, you know, it's been like 25 years. These are all adults now. We should check in on them. Like, was the PMRC right or not?
In kind of a weird sort of way, yeah. I mean, in line with what you're saying, you know, this is like kind of really the first subject that's ever really been truly explored and stuff. And I feel like, it was easy to just kind of pinpoint, like, oh well, this is why and stuff.
Easy target.
Yeah. Instead of looking at what the bigger picture was,
right.
Instead of looking at what, you know, like maybe it was just the person in general that was just, you know. So I don't know.
You know, I think at the end of the day, heavy metal is all that matters.
Yeah.
Fucking.
I mean, I've been aggressive as fuck about driving and stuff, but it's always been like there's always been a reason for it. I guess if we're going back to that conversation, you know, I mean, how many times have you been like stuck behind somebody? You're like put behind somebody that's been like tailgating or something like that, and just been kind of like irritated by it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't feel like what I was listening to at the time forced me to feel like how I was feeling.
No, it was the fucking what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Other idiots.
But
fucking doing.
You know, it is. I feel like it is a good thing, and it is kind of an advancement in the understanding of how everything works and stuff, because, you know, doing these kind of studies and things kind of opens people up to the idea that maybe there's something more to it.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe there's something more to, you know, like why, you know, if it's not the heaviest shit ever that you're listening to while you're driving, maybe it's, you know, again, I mean, it also kind of comes back to the mental health thing, you know.
Look, there's got to be. I know for a fact there are metalhead scientists, right?
There has to be.
And
you know,
here's what I'll say about metalheads, and because I can say it from myself specifically, if I were a metalhead scientist and I read that study, I would also be mad, and I would reconduct the study under proper conditions and have different findings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so maybe that article inspired some heavy metal scientists out there to be like, fuck you. And they're going to do another study.
Yeah. Well, then it's like the thing that bothers me, I think the most about it, besides the fact that they call it Slipknot thrash metal, that's a whole other conversation. But the fact that, like, you can't really do a proper study without putting more than just one person in the study.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean,
you've established how this one person reacts to the sounds. Like,
there has, you know, I mean, if I take kind of what I took from like school experiments and stuff, like, you know, there has to be like your control, and then there has to be two other things that kind of change, you know, kind of like what you're experimenting on and stuff.
Right.
And I feel like if you were to take a few people that were, I mean, let's say like 10 people that weren't used to it, and 10 people that did it all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know,
that would be a much better data set.
Yeah. Instead of just, oh, well, it's just this professional driver did this and they felt this way.
Maybe they weren't a professional driver. I don't know.
Yeah.
But still, yeah. It is fucking.
And, like, you know, if I guess the last thing I want to say about it is, like, if you're doing a study like this, you know, you should at least back up a little bit more strongly what you're saying.
Yeah.
In the way of, like, what if you're trying to prove a point, you know, make it a little more of a stronger point than just, oh, well, one person felt this way. Like, there's so many other people that do the same thing every day and don't feel this way.
It's a poor study.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It just has funny headlines, so everybody's been posting it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit, between that and the fucking every day just about the fucking... about Corey Taylor, something about him.
Yeah.
Something about Slipknot related. And, like, as much as, I mean, not as a change of subject or anything.
Press is press.
Yeah. But as much as I enjoy Slipknot and stuff, like, it kind of kills it a little bit for me. Knowing that, like, oh, well, Monday, Corey Taylor busted a nut singing, like...
Oh, that's kind of brutal, though.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
When I read that, I was
substance, yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, but
that's
then,
pretty brutal.
But then to have the next day about an article being about that, and another day about, you know, it's just like, you know, I don't know.
We got to keep it in the news cycle until the next thing.
Yeah, and I guess that's like been like the general consensus about the comments and stuff.
It's tabloids.
Yeah, I mean, like, what is the bigger band other than Slipknot right now?
Slayer.
Yeah, and they're on. I mean, not to.
They're on their final tour.
Yeah, not to discredit what they're doing, but they're kind of, you know, they're sort of on their way out a little bit.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, not bigger. Yeah, pretty much nobody's bigger than Slipknot at the moment.
Yeah.
For sure. And I'm excited about the new album.
Oh yeah.
Very excited.
I don't quite know what to make of, you know, the fact that, I mean, I don't know if did we talk about the Jimmy Kimmel thing that happened?
Yeah.
The live version?
Yeah.
I thought, like, to me that was like, for one, not only was it heavier, did it feel heavier, but it was also kind of like, all right, I get it.
Yeah,
you know?
they're definitely heavier live.
Yeah.
And that it came through there, and I thought both those songs sounded really good live. Yeah. Yeah, I liked that a lot.
I'm so excited to see him live.
Yeah, me too.
I can't, like, and honestly, I don't remember when the last time was that I saw him. It's
probably one of these Mayhem fests.
Yeah, it must have been, because I don't think I caught him on a, because I remember they did a tour with Korn and King 810.
Really?
A while back. Yeah, that was for the promotion of the 5th album. And I was on the fence about it, and I ended up going and stuff. And I kind of wish I did, just to kind of see it and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, fuck it. It's been like 5 years since I'd seen him. 6 years, maybe.
Damn.
Even.
Yeah.
So, like,
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. To me, that's like the most anticipated.
For me, it was Slayer.
Yeah.
But
between those two, I mean, you know, the two biggest bands of.
I'm pretty much going right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. God. Whew, such a good time.
And I guess to segue into that, know where your tickets are at, people. When you put them somewhere and you buy tickets.
Come on, nobody else still gets physical tickets except us.
You know what? Like, honestly,
everyone else has it on the goddamn phone.
Yeah. To be fair. Like, what made me think about, like, man, like, why is, all right. So I guess to backtrack a little bit and to kind of get off the topic of what we're talking about. I mean, I don't know. I guess if you don't mind, if you have anything else to add to that.
Nope.
Had tickets to Architects, Tires, Murder, and While She Sleeps. I'm pretty sure it was the other band. Yeah, you know, I mean, I guess to like get a little more personal though, like I was moving at the time, and I thought like, oh hey, you know, let me put these somewhere where I know that there'll be. There's only 2 places that I know that I could like recall back and stuff, and like, you know, I bought these way back in like 2018, I guess, for this show, and I ended up finding them a few days, like, I mean, maybe it was like a week or 2 after the show. But yeah, I ended up finding them somewhere else, and it was like the day of the show and stuff that I started looking for them, which is, I mean, like, honestly, it was probably a bad move on my part as well, because I should have known where they were the night before. But like, yeah, just, you know, just keep track of that shit. Because you never know when you're going to wake up one day and have it be like the hour before the show and have to be disappointed by the fact that you were a dumbass and you didn't know where your shit was at.
Or just be like 99% of people, except for you and me, and have them on your phone.
Yeah. Well, I guess that was the other point that I was going to make was like, I guess, I mean, other than like the novelty of having, you know, the physical thing to hang on to.
Such a big thing for me, though.
Yeah.
It's such a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Like, such a big part of it is having the physical ticket.
mean, like, you know, I still have the Hatebreed ticket in my wallet.
Oh, shit. There it is.
That I had, you know, when we went there, because it meant something to me, you know.
Yeah.
And stuff. Like, so, yeah, I see that point of it, but on the other side, like, you know, just don't be like me. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. Keep track of your tickets so you don't regret what's happening.
Fair enough.
You know.
It's a fair point to make.
Yeah. But, I mean, I did find them in a spot that I didn't think that I would.
You found them in a drawer under the drawer.
Under the drawer.
It's impossible to find them.
And, like, I don't know. I guess, like, on a candid note, like, I felt so bad about all that. And, like, I know that, like, you offered me and stuff, but, like, you know, like, when at a certain point, once you're done, like, and the day is kind of, like, shot and stuff, like, you just kind of feel like, man, like,
fuck it all.
Whatever. Yeah. Like, you know, I would have so much rather have been there, like, you know, as planned, instead of just like let me have this, or like let me, you know, like take this from me and stuff. You know, yeah. Not to get like super deep into it and stuff, but like, yeah.
You good, but yeah, no, I get it. I understood. Yeah. I understand.
I mean, you know, and with that, I was kind of thinking the night before, you know, I mean, because it was, I mean, I guess to preface this, it was Architects. It was their headliner for their newest album. It was Diar's Murder, and it was, you know, like I said, While She Sleeps and stuff. But we found out a few days later, and I don't know, I think we talked about it on the show, that Diart wasn't going to have CJ as their artist, as their vocalist and stuff. And I kind of got thinking, like, you know, well, there's going to come a point where they're going to be doing probably a headliner for their most recent album that they're putting out,
which hasn't come out yet.
Yeah. And I was like, well, you know, I was disappointed about that, and I was disappointed about, you know, Architects and stuff, but like, I'm sure that they'll be back and everything, and I'm sure as great of a show that it was, you know, I'm sure it'll be twice that, you know.
Yeah.
Especially now.
Yeah. Feeling
like I do about it and stuff. Like, I feel like I have it's personal.
It's now personal.
In a weird kind of way, yeah.
It's now personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I feel the same way about Arch Enemy.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. And like the more we talk about them, the more I'm like, man, I feel like I should. And I guess like kind of like a weird other like segue into that, Card Effects. And I was reading this when we were in the lot somewhere. their next single that they're putting out, whether it's for the full length that they're doing or it's for just like a single, is gonna be with Lisa.
Oh, from Arch Enemy?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And the teaser that they put out for it sounds really sick.
Hell yeah.
So I'm excited to hear that.
That's dope.
So
maybe Arch Enemy and Carnifex will tour.
Maybe.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. It'd be pretty like left to center a little bit.
Still.
Yeah.
I'd see that.
Yeah.
Carnifex is good.
Yeah, man.
I've seen them.
I kind of wish that I would have seen them on like the Hell Shows Me days, but at the same time, they're better than they've ever been.
Hell yeah.
Mostly because of their last few albums, they've really stepped it up in terms of like their writing and like how they've put it all together. So
that's sweet. I haven't kept up with them as much, but I'll be sure to check that out for sure.
I mean, they're one of the like I'm not like super big fan of them in terms of like, you know, like they're not a band that I would listen to on a daily basis, but they are someone that I'm really interested in, like what they're doing and stuff. Yeah. And they're, I mean, in terms of like the big four deathcore, whatever, like they're pretty important. Yeah. I mean, them, Whitechapel, like Despised Icon, and like Suicide Silence are probably the bigger, you know, the ones that paved the way for everybody else to me. So
that's fair. I'd probably agree with that.
I mean, I'm sure there are others, but those are the ones that stick out to me the most.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So.
Fucking. That's awesome though. I'm looking forward to that new song now. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, I saw that when we were sitting there. I was like, oh man, that's it. And like you can kind of hear it a little bit in the thing that they posted.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll send that to you.
Oh yeah. Well, shit, you want to wrap this up?
I feel like there's something else. I know I say it a lot. But I feel like there's something else that we were gonna talk about. Did we talk about the Archspire show?
Oh no, I haven't. No, not you haven't yet.
Yeah.
I've talked about it a little bit. But your last show last weekend or last Monday or whatever. Yeah, I fucking loved it. I thought it was great.
That was fun. I got I got punched in the stomach and a table to the knee without even being
stomach?
in. Yeah. I still gotta fucking look at this shit. You see this shit?
Damn.
I didn't even expect it. I was standing by our merch table and stuff, and like somebody like, you know, went in without even thinking about it. We're like, I don't know. I'm sure it wasn't like whatever. It was kind of like the edge of it. Like I can't be mad about it and stuff because I was standing in that area. But then I took a table to the knee, or a table to the leg. So, but yeah, last show we played the Tech Truck. Was with Archspire, who are ridiculous live. By the way, I don't understand how a band like that can be so tight as far as their like what their sound is and like what they sound like live on the album and stuff. Like it sounded pretty spot on, you know. Like you could tell that they take a lot of pride in the fact that like they're the fastest band ever and stuff. And like it was just a fun show. Like all the different stuff they added, like all the little banter and stuff in the middle, like with the applause bar during all the guitar solos and stuff. And their vocalist is just like, I don't know. Every so often he'd chime in with something like witty and kind of like random. That was kind of funny. So yeah. And Infuri or Infuri, I think. Yeah. Well, I mean,
so good.
Yeah. Like that band is something else, really. I feel like they are like they kind of sound like, and I don't know if it was you that said it or if it was Chase, but they kind of have like a Black Dahlia feel to them, with a little more of like an epic sort of, you know.
Yeah.
Big.
They do have a Dahlia feel.
Yeah. Maybe it's just the vocals and stuff. Who is like
is really good.
Yeah. And just the way that it translates live and stuff. Like it was cool because I was like when I was driving down there, I was kind of I mean, admittedly, I haven't really like I didn't really dive too far into any of the bands we were playing with really. So I thought, you know, I mean, you got like an hour and a half, may as well like listen to a few bands and stuff, and like so I listened to a few songs from all of them, and they were one of those that really stuck out to me, just because of their ability to. I mean, not only do they have like 6 or 7 minute live songs, but they also like, I don't know, just the way that they all move and stuff is really cool to me, and just the big atmosphere and stuff, and how it's all like this big, gigantic epic each song and stuff. I feel like their set was really well put together. And it was I don't know, because I'd heard a lot about them beforehand. Like I heard that they're, you know, because like the last album they put out, I think it was called like Reverence or something. I don't know if you picked it up.
One. Yeah, I did.
Last year, they put that out, and I kept hearing a lot about it. I kept seeing the cover and stuff, and people were really like raving about it and everything. Like I guess like beforehand, I didn't really put the two together. I was like, oh shit! Like I've seen this cover before, and I've seen, you know, I've heard the name and everything. So I thought I'd check it out, and it was really, really cool.
It's a good album.
Yeah. So I'll have to check that out more, and then it was, I don't know, just like the whole setup of the venue and everything was cool. I could have done without the fact that the like all like the merch stuff was in the same place as the pit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, you know, it could have been put back behind, like, you know, because it was like it felt like the venue was set up in two different
rooms.
Yeah. There was where like Archspire was, maybe like where Ververum was at, and then there was like towards the stage and stuff. There was more like the local and kind of like sort of like where we were at, because we were sharing a table with cars. Yeah. So I felt like maybe it could have been a little better, like figured out, because we had people like, you know, like running into the table and stuff, like moving shit around, like shit getting knocked off and stuff. And I'm pretty sure there was a guy that like broke like a bottle or something and was trying to like pay for some shit.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, during the last band was before Archspire, trying to like, you know, like pay him off and stuff or whatever. But yeah, no, I feel like that could have been a little more like better executed and stuff. But overall, like, I mean, as far as Detroit shows go, like that was cool, and it was even cool just like standing outside of like the whole big, like, because I know that you were in it, like you were kind of like on the outside and stuff, but you were kind of like, you know.
Oh, I got into it a little bit.
Yeah. And I don't know, like it was cool to see all of that at a show like that, you know, that we had like, you know, playing out and stuff. And
I can't believe you guys not only had a crowd, but as the opening band of the night, you actually had a pit.
Yeah.
On a Monday.
Yeah.
In Detroit on Memorial Day.
Oh yeah.
On a fucking holiday.
Yeah.
You not only had a crowd, you actually got a pit going during your set.
Yeah, I was pretty excited about that. I wasn't like, I was more focused on, you know, so like what I was doing and stuff, but there were a few times where I looked up, and maybe it was, I don't, like for me it felt like it was a little more like calm of a set than I'm used to playing and stuff, in terms of like all of, like the movements and stuff. Like I feel like I was more centered in like how like my playing and everything like that. But like there were a few times where I looked up and I saw a few people and I was like, fuck yes.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't. I was waiting for you to windmill, and you never windmill.
Yeah. Well, I had the wrong
yeah,
like,
I figured that was why.
And I was like, and there was a point in time, because like, I mean, I guess to preface this, like this is the first show, because like I've been working with using like triggers and stuff the last couple of shows, and like the last couple like practices and things, and like this was the first one where I really was like, all right, well, I'm gonna do it, like I'm gonna, you know, just see what happens and stuff. And the only headphones that I had were kind of, you know, they were hard to like, yeah, in a way, and like, you know, I don't know. I feel like, I guess like maybe it didn't like take away from things, but it like limited my like mobility and stuff.
A little bit, yeah. Probably.
So I mean, for the next one, definitely I'll feel a little more like confident and stuff about how to, you know, how to put it all together and everything. But Yeah, it was cool to look up and see, a couple people get into it and stuff.
Oh, there was a fucking pit for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like that's like to me the biggest reward is after everything, like
Yes.
when you're up there and stuff, you're like a few songs in and you look out and you see that like the war that you start.
If you're the opener, especially.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
on a Monday, on Memorial Day, when nobody should have even been in the city.
Yeah. And shout out to the sanctuary. That
Great
venue
venue.
is
Great
it's cool.
venue.
The sound, everything.
Sound was really good.
Yeah. And like and I guess I didn't really, because you never know what it's gonna be like when you're up there when you're playing and stuff. But like because Carnus went up after us, Carnus and Mortalis, who were awesome, and I was listening to them and I was kind of like back where like the bar area was at and stuff, which is its own separate like thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Its own and. It was as if somebody had like put them on like the loudspeakers, like playing off their like phone or whatever. Like it was that clear and it was that, and that was the point where I was like, this is pretty solid.
Good spot.
Yeah. Like I like this.
Definitely a good spot. And again, you'll be back there.
Yeah. Yep. So let me double check.
June 21st.
Yeah.
With the breathing process. And Boreworm.
Yep.
And I think Carnus Immortalis is also on that show.
Yeah. So it's
there's one other one too, but I don't know who. But yeah. Sanctuary, June 21st. Fucking be there.
It is breathing process, like you said, Boreworm, who are playing their Black Path EP all the way through. It's us, Vile Secretion, who are from Chicago. Who looks like it says ex members from Oceano, who are one of my favorite bands. Carnus and Mortalis, and then Grave Bloom, who are from Detroit. So they're a Detroit band.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, man.
It's gonna be a good show. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I feel like I'll be a little more prepared this time. Because there were a few things that I don't know. I don't want to get super into it, but that I could have done a little better, and I could, but like. It's the first show of the year for us, and not only that, but it was the first Detroit show in a new venue. Yeah, so it's and to play with like, Archspire and all these crazy bands at the same time is like, it was cool to like put that down in the books, I guess.
Fuck yeah, absolutely.
So and met a bunch of cool people that night.
Yeah, we did.
Had a chance to talk to Wormhole.
Mm-hmm.
A chance to hang out with them before the show and stuff, and it was cool. And Alex, my singer, even did a song with them, which was just
fucking insane.
Yeah.
Which you can see footage of on Lost in Dark's Instagram.
Yeah, man. I was I don't know. I was just so happy to see that they still like incorporated us into that and incorporated him and everything and kind of like added him onto that and stuff. And I guess like we were kind of hanging out before the show and stuff, and he was like, man, I'm so bummed that you guys are only on one date. Yeah. Because it would have been, and I like, I'm sure at some point we'll be on the road with them, because it would be like, they're one of those bands that, and I think we were talking about this after the show and stuff when we were driving back, like they're one of those bands that like, because we've never done any like touring or anything like that. And I feel like they've been around a little bit and long enough to kind of like get how it works and stuff. And it's I feel like they would be just a cool band to like be able to like show the ropes.
Yeah, to tour with.
Yeah.
That would be that'd be awesome.
Because they're all really cool. So.
Hell yeah, they did seem like really cool guys. The first time I met them, and they all seemed really cool.
Yeah.
Good guys, for sure. Put on a hell of a show.
Yeah.
They did a good job.
Putting up the I don't know. Holding up the flag for the slam bands.
Fuck yeah.
Coming through.
Fuck yeah.
Like that was one of the things that I said, because like I'd never seen them live before, and I'd never I'd listened to their album and stuff because it's been out for a few years and stuff, but like after seeing them and after seeing like how people like move to that kind of shit, like I was like, man, we gotta put more slams in our songs.
Hell yeah.
Getting people just knocking into each other, and so expect that from the next Ball Graith whenever we
New
do.
songs.
Yeah,
Fuck
EP,
yeah.
album, singles, whatever. So,
Fuck yeah.
and
It was a good show.
Yeah, man.
I'm really excited for the next one. Very excited, actually. I think it's the only show I got in June. The whole month of June, I think it's the only show I'm going to is yours. So,
It's the only one I got, as
yeah.
far as I know.
It's going to be a good time, though. Going to be a good time. So, we're going to wrap this up?
Yeah.
All right. Well, shit. That's it from us tonight on Lost in the Dark Podcast. I'm Burton.
I'm AA Ron.
AA Ron.
Aaron.
And I love you all to death. Good night.
Peace.